Hello everyone, Tebrith here, and welcome to my week 16 video on my journey to learning TF2. If you're new here, this is a documentation series about my journey to learning this old hero shooter called Team Fortress 2, where, for the past week, I've been exploring different strategies around Soldier to find my favorites, and I gotta say, Soldier has a lot of different ways of being played. However, after some practice and experimenting, I eventually found a playstyle that seems to work for me. While plenty of other YouTubers I've seen when talking about Soldier TF2, they either fall into the roamer soldier category where they like to be in the flanks catching people off guard, or they're just a straight up soldier main. I, however, found that the roamer playstyle is much more comfortable for me. Being a mobile threat with a variety of tools at my disposal is quite a lot of fun. Playing as Soldier for the past month has definitely opened my eyes to what TF2 is capable of. Anyway, let me explain my preferred loadouts going into matches, starting with what I like to call the Direct Enforcer. The strategy behind this loadout is to basically be a long-ranged pick while still having plenty of combat capability, with the loadout itself consisting of the direct hit with its increased damage and projectile speed, making it an ideal weapon to take out key opponents and sentries. The conch, with its passive healing, improves your survivability, with the horn increasing the speed of those around you, making you a much more solid team player in pushes. And finally, the escape plan, which of course is useful for getting out of sticky situations. Believe it or not, for most of the week, I tried to use the battalion's backup instead of the conch, because I thought that the increased damage would prove to be useful. However, due to the fact that the direct hit has practically no splash damage, I didn't really get a lot of opportunities to blow into the horn. The passive regeneration that the conch provides is so much more useful for this loadout. Shame I only figured it out towards the end of the week. Moving on, we have the Enlisted Grunt, which consists of the Liberty Launcher, the Reserve Shooter, and the Pain Train. The main strategy behind this loadout is versatility. Being able to have an answer for whatever comes your way, the Liberty Launcher has increased projectile speed, which makes hitting distant airborne targets easier. Not to mention that 5th rocket in the clip makes it very useful for just spamming choke points with more rockets than your opponent may expect. The Reserve Shooter is just so useful as a way to damage enemies that get too close for comfort, especially if it's a Trollger coming at you. And the Pain Train helps capture objectives twice as fast, kinda like a scout. Ultimately, as a soldier, this is the loadout you will find me using the most often, since it has the most to offer on the battlefield. Basically, choosing between the two loadouts depends entirely on if I want to frontline or flank, each with their own pros and cons of doing things. And finally, I'm sure you guys remember the Hybrid Gardener from last week. What can I say? It's both a fun and useful loadout. The airstrike in particular being a bit of a snowball weapon, becoming a more powerful weapon the better you're doing. And that's about it. I know what some of you may be thinking. Where's the man vs. machine video? Trust me, that video is coming out next week. I try to upload these videos every Wednesday, with each class taking up a whole month. And this month just so happened to have one more Wednesday than usual. Therefore, Soldier gets one more video than usual. Also, I do appreciate all the wonderful comments I got last week. The fact that this series is actually being found by people still amazes me every time I think of it. Oh, and with the coming Man vs. Machine video, I'd love to hear any advice you all would be willing to give me about Soldier's role in such a game mode in the comments below. And with that, I do hope you all have a wonderful remainder of your day.